open up another pack. Gen X wants their future back. Break out the denim jackets with faded band patches. Share memories, Polaroid captured. It's the Gen X logs, the spot podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast. I am your host, Joe Augustine. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, I'm flying solo today. Stacey Blades is with me. You are in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, correct?
Yep, live in Vegas.
So there is no technical issues in Las Vegas right now. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Stacey Blades, he has performed in the bands LA Guns and Roxx Gang.
Yes.
So today we're going to change format just a little bit. We are going to have a special tribute to the one and only Ace Frehley.
Ace Frehley, yeah, that was sad news yesterday.
I know you and I were messaging back and forth as information was being passed around, and none of us really knew what was going on at that time.
No, I'd heard that he had injured himself and that he had had to cancel a bunch of dates that he had. And then, I don't think anybody really knew that he was in the hospital. So that was a bit of a shock to, the thousands and thousands, millions of fans out there that he passed away. They said he was in the hospital on life support. I was like, wait, what? Wow. So that was kind of a shocker, to a lot of people. So we've lost another one of our musical heroes, which is sad, especially with Ozzy just passing away in July. And that was a tough one. That hit a lot of people very hard, including myself. I mean, that was very heartbreaking to watch that unfold, sadly, over the last few months. Because he was just an icon, legendary. He meant so many things to so many people in so many different ways. So, we've lost another iconic musician from our youth.
Speaking of Ozzy, and I know we're focused on Ace today, Ozzy passed away. I got a text from my 10-year-old, and all it said was Ozzy died. And I was at work, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah. And so I'm looking on my phone and on my computer, and sure enough, and then it was not even 2 to 3 minutes later, and my wife texted me and says, you need to call your son. He's upset about Ozzy passing. Right there, a 10-year-old, and of course, a lot of that influence has to do with me, but just how iconic, like you said, and generational.
Yeah, for sure. In so many different facets, he was just such a one of a kind, more than a singer, he was just a cultural figure. So that was, I think that really hit a lot of people very hard when he passed away, sadly. Yeah.
Ace was my favorite member of Kiss. And
Nice.
I don't know if I mentioned it to you when we were going back and forth on Messenger, but I discovered Frehley's Comet before I discovered Kiss.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So, I was kind of a little ass backwards, you might say. Like, I discovered Ozzy before I even discovered Black Sabbath.
Yes. Yeah, that was me too, and then, I'm certainly aware of Black Sabbath, but I think I was 12 when the first Ozzy album came out. So not a lot of my friends' older brothers and sisters had Black Sabbath records. So that was kind of the same thing, was like, certainly, discovering all those great albums,
Me being the science geek when I was a kid, and I right away saw Frehley's Comet and Halley's Comet and that connection. And then I had no idea that it was all related to a spaceman character either. And then lo and behold, boom, I became a fan of Kiss.
Yeah, nice.
You said you have never met Ace Frehley, but
Mhm.
is there any stories, from other artists out there that stands out in a positive way or a funny way about Ace?
Well, my good friend Eddie Trunk, who's a major radio personality for many, many years, him and Ace go back 40 years. So, I talked to Eddie a little bit yesterday, and of course he's devastated. But he was a good friend of Eddie's. They'd known each other a long, long time. So, and my buddy Scott Coogan, who I've known for years, drummer friend Scott Coogan, played in Ace's band. So
Right. Yes.
he's got to be feeling that uh, pretty hard as well. And I have many friends that played with him over the years, off and on. So yeah, it's all affected us in a different way. So it's funny, back in the mid 90s, Ace was at one of our Roxx Gang shows, and we'd heard that he was in the audience, and we were playing this really nice big place in downtown Tampa called Killian's, and he was there. I don't know what he was doing in town, but he was at the whole show. And our tour manager tried to get him, after the show, we're like, get Ace, we all want to meet him, and he wouldn't come out
Aw.
and meet us. So we were all kind of, oh, what? We were all kind of bummed out about that. So, but the fact that he at our whole show, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I just remember too, Joseph, that I saw him play in Vegas with Alice Cooper about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I just remembered that. Yeah. Again, kind of shocked us all that his life ended so quickly. I mean, a great run of 74 years, but
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, very, very sudden passing away. So yeah, God rest his soul.
Going back to what I said when I discovered Frehley's Comet, to me, the song Rock Soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
that got me hooked on hard rock, heavy metal, and Ace lived that lifestyle of a true rock soldier. He just did not stop, no matter what was thrown in front of him.
Definitely. Yeah. He was, you can't picture, I mean, especially that early, the 70s years of Kiss. I mean, it was just that it was an iconic lineup, with the four of them. They were all stars in their own right. So I was in grade 5. I had this new friend in school. I remember going over to his house, and his room was like a Kiss shrine. And I just remember walking in, I was like, holy crap. It was just, he had the coolest room. He had these massive posters of Gene and Paul, but he had this one where Ace was like sort of with his back arched with the tobacco Les Paul. And I just remember seeing that picture was like fucking coolest thing I'd ever seen. He was the one that really turned me on to Kiss, and this would have been 1978, 79. So he was sort of my education to that band. Of course, I'd heard of them, but he was a Kiss fanatic. So, he put on Kiss Alive or Alive 2, and heard that. That was it. I was like, whoa.
It seems like, for me too, like you kind of get indoctrined or educated once you start school or make some new friends outside of that normal circle that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I remember being introduced to Ozzy. Friends of mine would have his name written like if it was a tattoo on his knuckles. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What, Ozzy? Like literally Catholic family, sheltered. The only Ozzy I knew of was Ozzy and Harriet." And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about you and what's going on
Yeah.
now with your new project and so
Yeah.
forth?
It's kind of been a little bit of a strange rebuilding year this year. Back in May, I left my band Crashing Wayward after 5 years for many, many reasons. Just, musical direction, very, very poor business decisions, which was really affecting the band. And, my drummer's wife at the time had been battling ALS for 5 years, and sadly she passed away in June. And he couldn't, Sean, he couldn't tour or play shows anymore. And I told him, I said, look, I'm not doing this without you. And they got a fill-in drummer, and it just wasn't the same. The magic gone. And the other three guys in the band they just had their own agenda, and I was just like, I just can't do this anymore if you guys are going to conduct business the way you're doing. And I was being phased out of songwriting, and it was just became miserable. And it's very sad because I had started that band, I named that band, and then shortly after I left, they phased Sean out, and I was just like, wow. And they show their true colors. So that was tough to walk away from, Joseph, because that was, I put my heart and soul, a lot of money also into that band. And, it became just so close to going next level, and it didn't. And I just look at, some things aren't just meant to be. That was a fantastic band. We made a great album that came out in 2023 called Listen. A lot of great singles, a lot of great videos, and that was tough to kind of disconnect from that, because it was sort of my baby. But I'm like, I'm big on principle. Yeah, next week I fly out to Kansas City, so it's a bit of a kind of a '90s all-star band. It's got the drummer from Collective Soul, and the bass player from Puddle of Mud, and the other guitar player was in Scott Weiland's solo band. So we're basically doing all music from all of those bands, and playing a couple LA Guns songs that I had done from the albums I did with the band when I was in LA Guns. So very strong set list, all Stone Temple Pilots, Puddle of Mud, Collective Soul, and LA Guns. So this is going to be a great show. So this will be our first show, and we're going to definitely do more shows looking at the end of the year into next year. So
I was just going to ask you that if, I'm sure it's going to be a success, and if it does,
I think
maybe
so.
you can hit the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah. So we're all pretty excited about that, and that's on the plate right now.
I wanted to say the name of the band, but I've been waiting to talk to you because I don't know if I would pronounce it right. So
Yes.
I would let you pronounce it.
And Ward talks about perhaps changing the name. It's Moji Mojo. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy year. So I'm glad I'm ending the latter half of this year with that. And it's a great group of guys, and just musically, really strong set list. So
That's awesome, man. I hope you post some videos of that show in Kansas.
Yeah, we're gonna have a film crew come out, and so we definitely wanted to start doing some more shows, and start spreading out nationally with this to Midwest, and maybe some West Coast stuff as well. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. And I wish you the best of luck on that new project.
Thank you.
So I know you only had a certain amount of time, but I wanted to ask you this question, okay? And I don't know if you've ever been asked this question or not, or maybe it's even going to be a statement, but I know you were born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I was having a debate with my co-host Eddie, and again, unfortunately, he couldn't be on here again due to technical difficulties. We were having a debate who was the most famous person born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and you came out on top over Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many famous people from Calgary. So, my time there as a kid was pretty short lived. I think I was 6 when we moved to Toronto. So, I always consider Toronto being hometown. That's kind of where I grew up, and of course, a lot of fantastic musicians from Toronto.
Are you a hockey fan?
Not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly, because people are like, "What?" It's funny just because my dad was a hockey player,
Oh, wow.
and actually played for the New York Rangers farm team way back in the 50s
Get
when
out. Wow.
9 teams in the NHL. And he didn't go pro. He ended up going into furniture business, Simmons mattresses, but
Okay.
he was a hell of a hockey player. And I just remember, as a little kid, man, he could skate like a rocket. He was a hell of an athlete. So people say that, well, especially your dad played on the New York Rangers farm team. You weren't into hockey, and I skated a lot, but I never played hockey. I was more of a baseball guy.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
Blue Jays fan?
let's go Jays. Let's go Jays. We'll see. Yeah, I was. I've always very active in sports as a kid. I golfed for at least 10 years. I started golfing when I was 11. My parents were golfers, and we were members at a country club, so it was inevitable for me to get in there and start playing. And I actually got really good. By the time I was 15 or 16, I was a really good golfer. So it was either music or golf, and I was just like, nah, I gotta go with music.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
You or Alice Cooper, who would come out the winner in a golf match?
God, that's no contest. He would bury me. he's like insanely good golfer. Like, he golfs every day. So when I first met Alice, we would have been 2012. And when I was in LA, still in LA Guns, and we were in Sweden, and we played a festival together. And I have known the guys in his band for a long time. So I remember Scott Griffin and I was playing bass. We were like, we went to Chuck, the bass player, Chuck Garrett, and we were like, hey, can we meet Alice tonight?
Yeah.
And like, yeah. So Scott and I went backstage after the show, and we met him. He's such a lovely guy. And every year, pretty much, I think every year, he throws a big charity celebrity event called Christmas Pudding in
I've heard of
Phoenix.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, what are you guys doing in December? Well, nothing. I was expecting him to say, how would you like to, come over and mow my lawn? And we would have been fucking, yeah. So he said, he goes, well, talk with your other guys and your agent, and we'll hook it up, and we'll fly you guys out, and you play the event. So he hooked it up for us, and it was great. It was Don Felder from the Eagles, Orianthi, Johnny Depp, and us. And we played like 3 songs, and it was just so cool because I really got to know him over those. We flew in the day before and had sound checked, and I just remember we were at the theater, and they were sound checking. They finished, and I was standing on the side of the stage, and Al saw me when they were done. He's like, "Hey, the LA Guns guys are here," and he came over and hugged me, and I was like, "Oh my God, Alice Cooper's hugging me!" Like,
Wow. I'm so
yeah.
jealous right now.
So it was a great evening, and then they had this kind of big jam at the end, and we did Run Run Rudolph. And
Nice.
I just remember I was standing beside Johnny Depp playing guitar, and they were dropping all this paper mache to make it look like snow, and one of the paper mache went in my mouth, and I swallowed it. And I look over at Johnny Depp, and he's laughing. And I kind of walked over to him, and in his ear, I said, "You saw that, right?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." That's my Johnny Depp. That's my Johnny Depp moment, my Johnny Depp story. So, and then, I think it was like a year and a half later, I had this really cool all-star band called Let It Rock.
Okay.
And it was members of Stryper, Bullet Boys, Black and Blue, and a few other bands. And we were playing in Sioux Falls, Iowa. Was it Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Iowa? at the Hard Rock. There was a new Hard Rock there, and we were doing the after party for Motley Crue and Alice Cooper. So we're at sound check, and I see Tommy Hendrickson, who's Alice's guitar player, walk in, and he's like, "Hey, man." I said, "Hey, dude." He goes, "Hey, Alice and Cheryl, his wife Cheryl, are in the restaurant having lunch. Want to come in and say hi?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I had my wife with me. Sadly, she passed away 4 years ago from COVID. So she was like, "Oh my God, we're going to meet Alice." She's a huge Alice Cooper fan. So I said, "Guys, I'll be back in 20 minutes. So we walk over to the restaurant, and he's sitting down, and I'm like, "Oh, he won't remember me." And lo and behold, Joseph, he like looks up and he sees me, and he waves his hand. He goes, "Hey, Stace, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Holy fuck, this guy, like, not only remembered my name."
Oh my gosh.
And I was just blown away by that. I'm like, what an awesome guy. And my wife's literally like shaking. And I said, "Oh, Alice is my wife, Paula." And she had like tears in her eyes. And he's like, "Okay, nice to meet you." I've got so many Alice Cooper stories. So from 2017 to 2019, I had this really cool modern rock band called Electric Radio Kings. I got signed to Universal, and we had done a couple songs with a big radio promotional company. So we actually had a lot of national rock radio play. So the first one we did, Alice Cooper featured us on his radio show. So he played our single, and he started talking about the band, and he went through everybody's name. And when he got to my name, he goes, He goes, "I think I know Stacey." So again, he's still, all these years later, he still remembered me. So that was so cool to hear him say that on the radio, So
Alice Cooper has a lot of ties back here to southwestern Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
His grandparents, and I may have some of the information a little bit mixed up, but his grandparents were ministers back
yeah,
here, yeah, in a small town called Smock, Pennsylvania. And he had spent summers here. And from what I
no,
understand, he went to school in Fayette County.
yeah. He's just a genuine guy, and puts on one of the best concerts. I mean, really feel blessed that in some form, I've had these encounters with him. Personal encounters with him has been just really amazing.
I am thrilled we were able to talk about Ace and talk about Alice. I feel like I know them now, and you. I appreciate you very much for allowing me to interview you and so forth. And so how'd you come up, last question, how did you come
Yeah.
up with your stage name?
So, I have a very general name. It's like now, when I was 15, I'm like, I got to come up with that. You sort of manifest, you create this persona. So when I was in grade 3, I refused to use scissors for some bizarre reason. I don't have any problem using scissors now, but I guess I did back then. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with my hands or something. And flat out refused to use them. So to the point where the teacher actually called my mom and said he just will not use the scissors. So we shared a portable class with a grade above us. So this kid just started calling me Blades,
Wow.
and it sort of stuck. And then Stacy Keach was always one of my favorite actors, still to this
Yes.
day. Just such a fucking cool name too, Stacy Keach. I'm like, so I put the two together, and that was it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey Keach, Mike Hammer?
Yes, you know your stuff.
I do, yes.
Yeah. Cheech and Chong movie is one of my favorite movies, and he was just so great as Sergeant Stadenko. So
Yes. Oh,
he's
yeah.
been one of my favorite actors. But he just had such a cool, powerful name. I mean, that's the name you remember, Stacy Keach. So, when I put the two together, I'm like, oh, that'll work. And I started adding my first name is David. So I put that just in the last 7 years. I kind of wanted to rebrand myself. So I added my first name to my name. So I'm like, that's got a really nice ring, and
It does. Yeah.
I I just kind of wanted to rebrand myself in a newer format and playing in newer rock, modern rock, alternative type bands. And I just, as proud as I am of my past, I just didn't want to be just known for, oh, that was the guy in LA Guns for 10 years. So that's the whole story behind that.
Have to be relevant
Yeah.
nowadays and
Yeah.
move along with the times. And I think
Mhm.
that's what, with our podcast, we were looking at the changes in culture and society and even with music and the industry. And you are not afraid to branch out from that scene of the hair metal and hard rock bands and
Yeah.
explore other avenues.
Yeah, so right before Electric Radio Kings, I was playing in this version of Rat. Bobby Blotzer, the drummer from Rat, I've been very good friends with for many, many years. He had put a solo band together, but then he had decided halfway through that he, owned a quarter of the Rat name, and he was just going to call his band Rat. And that created a lot of controversy. But anyways, long story short, the guitar player in that lineup had exited the band very quickly. This was summer of 2016. So he reached out to me, and I had a feeling he was going to. And he texted me on a Monday, and he said, "Hey, can you learn the whole set and be on a plane by Wednesday and play Sturgis to 40,000 people on Thursday?" And I was like, "What?" Well, so thanks for the
Right.
notice, the 2-day notice. So I was like, okay, so I had 2 days to learn the entire Rat set, get it down, go on a plane and play. My first gig with them was in front of 40,000 people, no rehearsal. And it was surreal, man. Somehow I pulled it off. I don't know how I did, but I did.
The consummate professional you are. That's exactly
Yes.
what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. It was a bit nerve wracking. So we gigged throughout, it had been June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah. And we kind of knew what was going on because we knew that the other original members were just not having it. And we knew that there was going to be a lawsuit. So, and in fact, that did happen and he lost. And he appealed it and he lost again. So that was it. It was done. And I was just like, when that happened, I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this kind of music. I just sort of hit a wall and I was like, you know what? I really want to try, because I like all types of different music. And I said, you know what? I really want to try my hand at doing something new and modern and just not joining another legacy band and being another replacement guy. And that's how, Electric Radio Kings got started. And, that band was together for 3 years, right on the verge of success. We had a top 30 song on Billboard on mainstream rock charts. And we had the record coming out on Universal, and Larry Mazur, who used to manage Kiss,
Hmm.
managed Kiss in the early 90s, managed Lamb of God, he managed Cinderella all through the 80s. He was going to sign us to his company. And everything was in place. And we played in New Orleans and Houston that weekend. And, ironically, I wish we hadn't been played that weekend because Larry was in Las Vegas and I would have been able to meet with him. It was the singer that night after the show, got back to the hotel, and he was like, "F you all, I quit."
No.
And I think it was just fear of success. And the whole thing just imploded, record stiffed, didn't ever sign management deal, band done. So out of that, Crashing Wayward started, and then here we are 5 years later, and then that, ended the way it did. So that's in a nutshell what the last 8 years of my life have been.
Well,
So
there,
God knows why I keep doing this, Joseph. It's the love of my guitar, and performing and writing, and no matter how many blows you take, you know.
You don't ever want to give up. That's what I tell my boys. Don't ever give up, no matter what life throws at you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's a lot of very colorful, very colorful career over the last 30 plus years, and very grateful for it. Very I accomplished things that I dreamt of as a teenager. Just so very blessed to this amazing journey that I've been on for several decades. So,
And if I'm correct in reading a little bit of background information, it all started in Metal Edge magazine when you saw an ad with Roxx Gang looking for
yeah.
new guitarist.
Yeah, and man, I'm way into law of attraction and metaphysics and stuff like that, and I completely manifested that because I remember being in my apartment in probably 1990 or something, and I remember I had in my left hand I had the Roxx Gang first album, Things You've Never Done Before, and I had the LA Guns record in my other hand. And I said to my friends, I go, this right here, guys, this is the shit. Fucking music, the look, the rawness, the power. I go, this is me, this is what it's about. And I had a really cool band at that time called Frehley in Toronto. And, when I really started studying law of attraction and metaphysics and manifestation, I remembered that moment. I was like, holy shit. I was in both of those bands. Whoa.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then universe just lined it up, So it wasn't like there's no coincidence that I popped into that, bookstore and grabbed that magazine and saw that ad. It was all lined up.
And I have to agree with you with the laws of attraction. I'm really big into synchronicity.
Yeah.
Just to make a long story short, my mom had passed away right after COVID, and I still have not fully come to terms with that, but there seems to be things that point to her. And one of the things that happened is I was looking for a song, just did a random search on Spotify, and I cannot remember off the top of my head the name of the country singer, but the name of the song is called Bye Mom. Soon as I heard it, I was like, this is me. This is my mom and our relationship. And I was just hitting download. It popped up the number 417, which was how many songs at that point in time I had on my playlist on Spotify. And that was my mom's birth date.
Yep, that's not a coincidence. That's her saying, son, I gave this to you. And yeah, I'm big on that. I mean, my late wife's birthday was 11/11. So every time I see that, I know it's her, and I see it a lot. So yes, a big on number synchronicities as well. So that's not a coincidence that time signature on that song, Joseph, that was from your mom. Yeah.
But so, hey, I think we're going to wrap it up now because I'm going to start tearing up a little bit talking about moms.
I know. Late deceased wives and yeah. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Joseph. It was great chatting with you. And we'll have to do this again.
Absolutely. Hey, again, thank you so much. I wish you the best with the new band.
Thank you.
It's the Gen X marks the spot.